Hey everybody! Welcome to the Beantown Beatdown.
Matthew Virus.
Gabe Shamus, and we're back.
Yeah, we're back, and if you're watching this on the screen, as you can see here, we're still working out the new kinks.
Yeah.
But don't worry, hopefully we can get it all together, folks.
We'll get video for you next time.
Yep, and for now, drinking some water, not that it'll matter much.
Cheers anyway.
Yep, so let's get into it. Breaking news, Conor McGregor, of course, has been arrested and charged with 2 felonies. He had broken a fan's phone. A fan caught him coming out of a club and was filming him. Broke the phone, and Conor McGregor has been charged with 2 felonies. And I'm sorry, I can't defend Conor on this one. One, he's a public figure,
right?
You know, so when you're a public figure, there is no expectation of privacy. I mean, like, it's one thing if
better or for worse, I guess.
Yeah, it's one thing if you're with your wife and your kids and you'd be like, hey, listen, come on, I'm with my family here, don't. Wait, are we still recording?
Yeah, I think so.
Are you sure? Because okay.
Keep going.
Yeah, because it's one thing if you're with I'm with my kid here, you know what I'm saying? So like don't get it with my kids, my family here.
Yeah.
Come on, dudes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was gonna say. Is like, I actually just watched A Star Is Born recently, and there's a whole thing about taking pictures or taking video of people, and he's just in the grocery store with her, and she's taking a video, and he's like, oh, it's okay, and Lady Gaga's like, actually, it's kind of not, but yeah, obviously they did not do violence against that person or their property, and yeah, that is basically the difference. You can be annoyed, like I think it's fine to be annoyed, but and then like, yeah, if their family's there, be like shut it off, around my family.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can't destroy someone's property.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, Conor McGregor is going to have to be punished to the extent of the law, no matter what it is. So I mean, he kind of fucked up there, but
Indeed.
But if this means we won't get another Diaz McGregor fight or Khabib fight, then so be it,
Yep.
Yeah. And now to move on to slightly better news. This weekend it is Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia.
Nice.
Yeah,
all right.
For the IBF Welterweight Championship of the World. That's going to be on Fox pay-per-view. And, of course, this past weekend, we just had a WBC welterweight title fight on Fox with PBC. Sean Porter successfully defended his title. Says he's coming after Keith Thurman for a rematch.
Okay.
And, of course, Manny Pacquiao is waiting in the wings, although there are rumors that he has once again restarted the negotiations for a rematch with Mayweather. But this fight right here is really big because you got Mikey Garcia moving up from lightweight to welterweight, and he's undefeated, as well as Errol Spence. This is almost like the makings of like when Roberto Duran moved up to welterweight and fought Sugar Ray Leonard. So it should be an exciting fight. As for who I think is going to win, this is a tough one. I can't decide who's going to win. This is going to be.
It is actually a pick'em, as you say.
Yeah, Gorilla Monsoon would say this is a pick'em.
Right. Yeah, interesting. So,
what about you?
Keep fans on the edge of their seats there. What do I think?
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't know. You have more the expertise of this stuff. For those just just new to us, Matt always does a kind of the face off and the scientific predictions of who's gonna win.
Yeah, exactly. And but we'll have to wait and see. And also this weekend, it is Ringside Live.
Whoop, whoop. Yep.
That's right. We're going to be back with a new episode of Ringside, just like I promoted on our Facebook page. The best of kickboxing. You're going to see, the best kickboxers on there. We're going to see Mike Bernardo. You're going to see Bob Sapp. You're going to see, Ray Sifu, Mark Hunt. And also you're going to see some MMA fighters who dabbled into kickboxing at one time.
Okay, all right. Yep. So catch us on Facebook.
Yep, catch us on Facebook at 2:30 this Saturday afternoon at 2:30 on our Beantown Beatdown Facebook page.
Indeed.
Make sure you watch it, and also make sure you watch the Beer and Brawl show this Friday live at 7:30 on Facebook. The Muay Thai versus the World Volume 3, Muay Thai versus Kung Fu.
All right, sounds awesome.
Yep, and now we're gonna get into World Outside the Ring. So Gabe, take it away.
All right. So another thing that's making the news is that the women's soccer division, the U.S. women's soccer division, is actually suing for equal pay. So this is something that I think was kind of brought up a few years ago. But yeah, now it's actually coming to fruition that these ladies are like, we're out there on the field, busting our ass, and back in the 90s, they were actually more popular than male soccer, and because of Mia Hamm and those stars, and so I think that's still what people think of when they think of U.S. soccer. So anyway, they're saying that we're doing just as good, and in some cases better, and why aren't we getting paid the same as the men? This is just we talk a little bit about politics on this show, or social movements and stuff like that, and so this is just basically I think on the one hand it is a continuation of these other sort of struggles. There have been conversations around equal pay. During Obama's years, he tried to actually put in a piece of legislation around that, and so it's like this is just one more thing coming to fruition, and now that it's and we haven't talked about it as much in sports, but we should, because we talk about sports on this show all the time, right?
Well, combat sports.
right, combat sports, but we talk a little bit about regular sports, and obviously there are many other shows that we kind of base ourselves off of that talk about regular sports 24/7 so so basically it's like with all this praise, with all this entertainment, why should they not be getting the same pay as the men? And like I said, I actually really don't think we've talked about this before. I want soccer to be more popular in America, but still not there yet. And I actually don't think I could name, or a lot of people could name, a lot of these male players, So, and I think a lot, if they do know about them, they know about the female players. So, it's like they're actually doing the work to bring in the publicity, for the sport.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, for the last 2 years now, there's been this uprise of wanting equal pay, just for women in the workplace, and and just for everything. They want equal pay.
Well, longer, like I talked about with Obama. But yeah.
But I guess now it's just becoming more and more to the forefront, and and that's a good thing too. I mean, because women do have to work twice as hard as the men. So, of course, it only makes sense that they get equal pay, that they, that they get their fair share.
Yeah.
And, they also get, it's not enough to just get promotions, and, because even when they get promotions or they start running companies, they still not getting paid as much.
Right, exactly. They're still not on par with men in similar positions. Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting that you brought up, how it seems like they have to work twice as hard. They probably do. And there's there's that saying that was popularized in the show Scandal, where they say as a black person, and for her as a black woman especially, you have to be twice as good to get half as much. That was a an important saying that kind of highlights the inequalities going on, and the unfairness of the system, shall we say. So it's like that's also like that's also part of it. We shouldn't be supporting a system anymore where where certain people have to work twice as hard to get half as much. Should at least be getting we should at least be getting to where you work twice as hard to get the same amount. But hopefully we get to the point where everyone's working the same amount to get the same amount, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, there's just been this this women's revolution, and I mean, of course, part of it is WWE, what they're doing with the women too. I mean, and the main event for WrestleMania. Well, then again, if you're a wrestling fan and you know that WrestleMania, almost every match they always book it as a triple main event or quadruple main event, when we all know that the main event is the last match on the card. And supposedly the main event for WrestleMania is Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey for WrestleMania.
Right.
I mean, we don't know if that's going to be the actual main event, the last match on the card. But if it is, then it's going to be kudos to the women, because the WWE has been doing a lot with the female wrestlers.
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey has been ahead of this, along with Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair. So
and she's continuing her tradition. She was also ahead of the curve in the UFC. Trying to make that happen.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, and it's just it's great to see women that are they're really taking charge, and like I said, it's not enough. I mean, yeah, it's great that they're starting to be on the corporate side, trying to take more of a leadership role, but
Right.
with leadership has to come benefits, has to come more pay, better insurance.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, that's a good point. Is that it's really that's really only like half the battle. Everyone is focused on we're getting women in more leadership roles. That's great, but that's only half the battle. If there's still pay inequality within those roles, then then it doesn't mean the same thing. And when you start talking about leadership or really lucrative jobs, I understand that there's kind of a like hesitance to be like, oh, is this a real issue? Speaking of of a lot of the stuff in the last few years, there was talk of actresses. There's I forget who it was, but there was these two actresses that said we're gonna stick together and we're gonna go off the movie, if we don't get paid equal to the men on this movie. And
I think it was Michelle Williams.
It was Michelle Williams and we're gonna blank on the other one's name, but anyway, they're getting paid a lot, and I understand that that there's a little bit of a tendency to be like, oh well, when you start talking millions of dollars, is it really is this a real issue? I understand that that's more than a lot of us hope to make and whatever, but but again, it's just about the equality of it, so yes.
Well, on top of that, Michelle Williams is a mom.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of them are. You have to support, have to support the kids and all that type of stuff. And for regular people, supporting kids is like one expense after the other, after the other, after the other. From what I've heard. So Anyway, yeah, but yeah, it's about the equality of it. So even though we start talking about millions of dollars as opposed to thousands, it might seem like, oh, this isn't a real issue, or oh, it's not fair anyway that they're being paid so much. That's a different conversation than, let's just get basic equality within the pay. These male stars are getting paid, you know big, and like we just said, the women are working just as hard or sometimes harder. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, hopefully this will be sorted out. Otherwise, this is just going to be another black eye on the sport of soccer. Not that it needs another black eye.
Exactly.
I mean, as far as it being popular in America, I mean, I I want to say never,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, I gotta say, I gotta be 100% honest. That it's got a slim it's got a slim chance. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It really hasn't been in the American, consciousness. And but it's what's interesting is that I think we actually were further along, several years ago. Again, Obama, he actually, had some people chanting the chant, "I believe that we can win," and people chanting that at one event, so.
yeah, but that was the World Cup. I mean,
Yeah.
as far as like I mean, we have Major League Soccer, but it's like no one's hardly anyone's following that on ESPN or whatever. And
Right.
I mean, when it's time for the World Cup or for the Olympics, which by the way the Olympics are next year, then
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure everyone's gonna come together and be like, "Yay, USA, let's do it."
Mm-hmm.
But it's like as far as like a New England Revolution or the New York Red Bull club, or
Didn't even know about that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
or it's like people just you know people don't just don't really follow it. They just can't get into it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it is women too.
Mm-hmm.
It's you know spe- especially for a guy like me. I have nothing against soccer, but I mean, I'm preoccupied with with pro I barely have enough time for pro basketball either.
Right.
I
Indeed.
mean, mostly combat sports and college basketball and the NFL pretty much take up most of my time. So I don't have any much room for soccer in my life.
Right.
You,
Right. And I think a lot of sports fans, in America, feel the same way. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But again, it doesn't matter if this is a struggling industry or a multi million dollar industry. Either way, there should be equality in pay.
oh yeah, exactly. And let's hope the U.S. women team. Let's hope they take them for every red cent.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I'm the type. Because I was also talking about this on my thoughts from an Aspie episode about which, by the way, you can catch on my Facebook page about bullying. Talking about autistic kids being bullied,
Mm.
and I said, as a if you're a parent, you should sue that school for every red cent, even
Mm.
if it means taking down the school, meaning the school shuts down
Mm.
and the teachers are out of a job, so be it.
Mm.
That's the kind of person I am, where like if I'm suing you, I don't want you to have a dollar to your name. I want you to barely have enough money to get a hot dog.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I mean, and it might sound vindictive, but it's like what w- it's like I guess it's like did they allow that to happen? If they allowed and encourage an environment of bullying, then there should be severe consequences.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about so much about the money; it's about the respect, and also it's what they say: hit them. You got to hit them where it hurts, and where does it hurt? Their wallet.
Exactly. Indeed.
So, yeah, and now we're gonna get into the last round. Well, this is actually not going to be the last round because we're doing a special edition in honor of March Madness.
All
Because
right.
I'm a big college basketball fan. I don't know about you, Gabe.
Mhm.
I mean, of course.
I check in,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, and the tournament, of course, is going to be starting up in a couple weeks.
Yep.
So this is our March Madness edition.
All right.
And for our first subject, what are 4 colleges that we would go to play for if we were to play college basketball? Of course, I picked 4. Just like the Final 4.
Okay. All right.
What about let's start with you.
No. What are yours? You just said you picked 4. So what are they?
All right. Well, mine's first of all, I gotta put Duke in there. Say national championships. All the great names. Grant Hill, Christian Laettner, Shane Battier, Bobby Hurley. All the great players played at Duke. I mean, Mike Krzyzewski I said it before. He's the greatest basketball coach ever. I mean, coached Duke all those years, won championships, coached the Olympic team. Yeah. For years now. Coached them to the Olympic gold medals.
Yeah.
That's the type of coach I would want to play for.
All right.
Yeah. Number 2, I want to probably play for UCLA. The dynasty of players that played for UCLA, winning those championships with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the 60s and Bill Walton in the 70s. Of course, Reggie Miller played there in the 80s. Played there in the 80s. Of course, Mike Bibby played there as well. Mike Bibby, who would go on to play for the Sacramento Kings, won a championship there for 1995.
All right.
Number 3 team, I'm gonna go with Kentucky. Because Kentucky has a great basketball dynasty. Of course, won national championships, and also Ashley Judd is from Kentucky. She went there, and she's a big Wildcats fan. So. Be nice to meet her there. After I make a 3-point shot, I'll be like, "Yo, what up? What up, Ashley Judd?"
Exactly.
And last but certainly not least, I want to pick Georgetown because Big East. I love Big East basketball. The Big East tournament at Madison Square Garden. The ability to play at an MSG game there, and of course, four of the best players in the NBA in the 90s and the 90s played there at Georgetown. Patrick Ewing, Dikembe Mutombo, Alonzo Mourning, and Allen Iverson.
All right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
What about you?
All right. So this is just for basketball, though?
Yeah, this is for basketball.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you made a good point about Georgetown. That would actually be on my list too. And then Georgetown, and then doesn't Sunny have one?
Huh?
Sunny, New York.
New York, there's for New York there's St. John's, there's there's St. John's, and then there's I'm drawing a blank on. I know they have one in Atlantic 10 and Syracuse.
Syracuse, right.
Oh, so you play for Syracuse?
Well, I don't know if I play for Syracuse. Either St. John's or Syracuse. Just because of the New York atmosphere, and I forget exactly, but I heard one really good story about New York college basketball recently. So I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely check that out.
Well, remember you can only pick 4, so
okay, yeah. So Georgetown, St. John's. Then let's see. You also made a good point about Kentucky. I think I'd do that as well. Kentucky, and let's see. Doesn't you said LA as well, right?
Well, LA, there's UCLA,
right.
There's USC, there's I think there's Berkeley, and trying to think of another one in Los Angeles around California too.
Berkeley is not in LA, but
okay.
Yeah, but I think I'll say Berkeley. Just going back to my to my Bay Area roots there.
Oh, Bay Area. Well,
Berkeley's not actually the Bay Area. I know, but it's a lot closer to the Bay Area than to LA. So
okay.
Yeah.
So those would be your 4.
Those would be my 4.
Yeah, well, St. John's is actually a pretty good has a pretty good basketball history itself. Chris Mullen played there. He's now the coach, and of course those St. John's versus Georgetown games, and I mean they're still big games, in the Big East, and
Yeah.
and Chris Mullen and Patrick Ewing played around the same time, and it's weird now they're both coaches of their former universities.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and Kentucky, you picked a good one with Kentucky. In fact,
Indeed.
I remember watching the ESPN documentary on the on Wildcats Kentucky basketball, the history of it.
Yeah.
And it's talking about how the '96 team, the one with Antoine Walker and all the other guys who went there, they said that every.
Sorry.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna finish up.
Yeah.
They said that everybody on that team went to the NBA. They said even though the water boy went to the NBA.
Right, there you go.
So even the water boy went to the NBA. As far as Berkeley, Berkeley, they don't have a good history of winning a national championship. So
yeah, we'll see.
And because my thing is also when you go to a college, you want to go to a good college where you have a good chance of winning a national championship, and B, you want to get a good draft pick in the NBA.
Yeah, indeed.
Saying so. So you could probably go to the NBA by playing for Georgetown and St. John's and Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, St. John's maybe not, because St. John's is a good team now, but I don't know.
Right.
But that's gonna do it for now. Hopefully by next week we'll have our shit together. One last reminder: watch the Ringside Live at 2:30 this Saturday, and watch the Beer and Brawl show this Friday night at 7:30. Hopefully in a couple of weeks we'll have our shit together and we'll have a video for you guys.
All right.
So from Beantown to your town, this is Beantown
Beatdown.
Matthew Bars,
Gabe Shamus.
Vios
Con Dios.